शुभं करोति कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदा शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योति नमोऽस्तु ते.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, we meet for our Tuesday webinar, and as we said in the beginning, the auspicious one, we are stepping into the auspicious webinar, 51st webinar. And thank you, Mr. Vikrant, for making this webinar very, very auspicious. Now, as like any other webinars that we have been having in the past, every webinar is unique with respect to the speaker, with respect to the topic, and something very, very unique is always there. And we try our level best to see to it that we give what others don't give. Topics may be the same, but what is given to the educators is different and more practical, and which everyone can use in their day-to-day life. Now, some of you who have been with us for quite some time know what all work we are doing, and for those of you who have not been there with us, who are attending for the first time, just a very little brief, I would say a brief, that Tuesday webinars, that is, we have been doing it right from our inception. In addition to that, we have various conclaves, principals, educators. We have TDPs for teacher professional development programs. Then we also have entrepreneurship program for school children. It is for college children, degree college students. Then we also have, we organize trips in association with the Australian government to Australia. We just finished our Adelaide trip in last October, and we are planning another one in the month of October. And this is an opportunity for all educators who wish to be a part of this trip to find out, to know, to explore different ways that different schools approach and the way of their teaching, their methodologies, and collaborate them in our teaching. And thus, we try to give them a global prospect. So all this we have been doing, and we will continue to do it, and we are doing. So without going too much into detail, once again, welcome Mr. Vikrant Joshi, and thank you very much for accepting our invite and being a part of our Tuesday webinar series. Over to you, Mama.
Thank you, Deepa ma'am. A very good evening to one and all. On behalf of Center of Resource Development for Educators, I, Mrs. Uma Mahesh, welcome you all to our 51st session of Tuesday webinars. Before we begin with our session, a brief about CRDE. Center of Resource Development for Educators is the initiative of educators Dr. Suresh Nair and Mrs. Deepa Desai. Dr. Suresh Nair, President of CRDE, a state teacher awardee, joined Vivek Vidyalaya and Junior College in the year 2006 after serving KC College for about 18 years. His visionary endeavor in the field of education paved the way to fetch him an array of accolades. He is a co-author of physics textbooks for junior colleges and MHT CET for engineering entrance examination. Mrs. Deepa Desai, Secretary of CRDE. Mrs. Deepa Desai has been in the field of education for nearly 4 decades and is a recipient of many awards for her work. former principal of Arya Vidya Mandir, Juhu, an ICSE board, the founder principal of Mahapragya Public School, Kalba Devi, a CBSE school in South Mumbai, and former head of IES Manik Vidya Mandir. She is a woman of many talents. Her rich experience as an educationist also made her an innovative and knowledgeable trainer for the CBSE and Sri Kelvani Mandal's group of schools in Sherpur, Dhule. CRDE is a platform where teachers and educators are manured to excel and mentor the students' community through local and international mentorship. CRDE offers opportunity to experiment and implement ideas, innovations, and collaboration to achieve performance and continuous professional excellence. CRDE is where confluence of like-minded individuals share and imbibe knowledge, experience through interaction, deliberation, and international exposure. Today, we have an enterprising and eminent personality with a blend of marketing, communication, and education, Professor Vikrant Joshi. Mr. Vikrant Joshi, an associate professor of practice, marketing, and communications. He has completed postgraduate diploma in management and communications, MICA, Ahmedabad, India. He has done his master's in global communication from Cambridge, UK. Mr. Vikrant Joshi has been a senior marketing and communication leader with cross-sector experience in media, infrastructure, education, consulting, and test prep. Worked with Reliance Industries, Aditya Birla, Reliance Group, 21st Century Fox, and Ad Factors PR, leading brand strategy and corporate communications at scale. Mr. Vikrant has 24 years of industry and 14 years of teaching experience, integrating real-world marketing frameworks, consumer insights, and strategic communication into classroom practice. He develops graduates grounded in strong marketing fundamentals, consumer understanding, strategic thinking, communication expertise, and corporate relevance. He will be presenting on the topic, Teaching in a Changing World, Aligning Classrooms with Today's Students and Skills. We welcome you, sir, for today's session. Mr. Vikrant Joshi, please, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Desai, ma'am, for setting the context. And thank you, Nair, sir, for this great initiative. Thank you, Uma, ma'am, for the introduction. I mean, it kind of, really sets a great tempo for my session. And for next 60 minutes or so, I would just to experience sharing basis my transition from corporate to academia, and some concepts that would be really relevant for the academic world to apply, which really work well in the corporate world. So something that even our university is trying to a great extent. So if you permit, I will just start. I'll just start my PowerPoint. Just give me one moment. Okay, if you can confirm if everybody can see the slides.
Yes, sir, we can.
Perfect. So moving on. I would like to start with an opening thought by great Mahatma Jyotirao Phule on, the more questions we generate, the more knowledge emerges. In fact, we recently celebrated Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's Jayanti, and I came across this article in Times of India, and I thought this really caught my imagination that we are probably in a dangerous urge to satisfy students and all their questions, all their queries, but that's not the case. We have to leave some questions unanswered, unexplored, let them find on their own, and also build a rationale for it. And this particular sentence really resonated with me very well, because we have been constantly looking for closures in relationships, in meetings. We want closure everywhere, but I think we don't need everywhere. I think as far as our student interaction is concerned, there are some questions that can be generated unanswered. Let them stumble upon answers. Let them come back with their answers. So that connects me to the next question. Do we encourage questions in our classrooms? Yes, I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but that's something that I keep asking to myself, that are there enough questions that I'm asking in my classroom before, in between the classroom and after the session is over, and after that also. And it's not an operational exercise. It's not a mechanical or robotic exercise. It has to be done very, very consciously. It has to be driven by people like us, educators like us. So how do we do that? I mean, not that I'm a case study in doing all this, but few things that have worked is what I would love to share with you all. So moving on, times have changed, not just past decade or so, but they have been changing at a frantic pace. We talk of AI, we talk of how we consume media. There have been times where we used to wait for a newspaper to arrive, and there was a different charm to getting that fresh newspaper at home, smelling it, reading it. But now we no longer go to the news. The news comes to us. It really barges into our daily lives through an app, through notifications. So news is coming, and just like news, a lot of things are kind of intruding our lives, and we have permitted them to intrude. So all the permissions, all the settings we have in our hand, but yes, still we keep complaining about a lack of work-life balance and excessive media consumption. But we have control. But we have given that control to machines. Attention spans, yes. I mean, constant debate in classrooms, psychologists, everywhere, that attention spans have gone down drastically. People have been sharing memes on WhatsApp about the lower attention spans. I think, yes, that's something that also has pervaded education, the classrooms. Learning sources have changed. A lot of students come back to us with certain sources of information which are not true, and they feel it's sacrosanct. They have seen a reel, they have seen some blog, and they feel it's a very genuine news, and we have to debate with them and tell them, no, it's not a credible source. Learning sources have changed. Expectations have changed dramatically over the years. I mean, we have been revering teachers like gurus, and now the relationship has changed. Institutions have been considered as service providers, so it's more of a consumer, and service provider relationship. Expectations from careers have changed. So a lot of things are changing. We live in a different era. In fact, we talk of an era called as post-COVID era. So it's an era. We term it as an era, and things have changed from that era to this era. And yes, I think kudos to all the teachers, educators who have been able to adapt to their way of teaching, because all of us moved to online way of teaching, and it was not easy. It was absolutely not easy. We have to take that credit. We have to pat ourselves with the kind of transition that we did almost overnight. And obviously we are not asking for it, but we should be happy that we did that transition. And of course, more is expected. We can't stop here. So what is the core shift? Of course, tech is changing and disrupting our lives like never before. So yes, and even if we like it or not, So a lot of people will say, no, I'm not on social media, but that doesn't help. But you should know the problem that emerged from social media. You can be on a social media platform, but you're not active. That's fine, because if you feel it is time consuming. So a lot of people refrain from getting into social media, but that doesn't solve your problem, because the problems enter our house, our classrooms in a different way. And then we are completely caught unaware. So I think role of tech is, of course, changing everything. Yeah. Careers, communication is changing. Parenting has changed big time, because I think the common joke that a lot of us, use, that if a teacher complains about the kid, the parent would say, okay, it's fine. The parent would still persist with the teacher's complaint and take the teacher on a face value. Now we don't see that happening so much these days, because then parents would probably question a certain behavior of teacher, however justified it is. So parenting has also changed, and we toggle both the ends. We are parents also, and we are teachers also, so we know we are seeing both the spectrums. Uh, Classroom structures, however, has largely been the same, rather, except for that COVID era where we shifted to online learning. So we used to have blackboards and chalks. That has been replaced by a whiteboard and a marker. Yeah, there are smart boards and all. That's absolutely fine, but we still need to write something to explain it to a student. So the modus operandi has more or less remained the same, that I have to drill down a concept to the kid. I have to finish the syllabus. I have to take exams. I need to evaluate a kid. I have to set examination paper. These woes are same, something that we have been talking since ages. I think that has to change in some manner, and I think it's up to us to decide now what needs to be challenged and changed. Students have changed, of course, the way they get knowledge from various sources. There are two notorious universities, YouTube University, WhatsApp University, they get their knowledge from. And they believe that, oh, what information is this? And they forward it without even verifying it. AI, of course, there's a debate now. There's a new debate about allowing students, to take AI support or not. And then we try to foolproof our assignments in terms of, are they genuine enough to test the students' knowledge? So use of AI. In fact, a lot of the directors of great institutions, they said you can use AI even for your PhD research. Now we are divided. The academia is divided on use of AI here also. Yeah, students need content, which is relevant and something that they can apply, but they're unable to articulate that. They don't know. They can't put it in as many words that this is what they need. Yeah, they need interactive sessions rather than finishing a classroom, finishing a monologue over whatever period that we have been assigned for. So I think that demands an interactive classroom from our end. They question authority, because then they will come and ask us whatever we have quoted in our earlier classroom. So obviously teachers are on their toes and they're prepared about what they say in classroom, but they question authority. They have been doing that. Yeah, I think this is also one big change that has happened. But yeah, parenting, of course, we discussed, parents are more aware, but they are more anxious now. I think the kind of mental health issues, they permeate from parents to the next generation, and I think that needs to be keep on check. They've been focusing on outcomes. Parents want everything in terms of numerical outcomes. They want success. They want placements. They will not question the process. They will not get into the process, but they'll ask the eventual outcome. What are the marks? What is the highest package you are giving, and so on. So yes, that is how parents have been getting into that ROI mode, return on investment mode. Yeah. Then getting into this eternal debate of skills versus marks. Yeah, I think eventually it boils down to getting good marks, but nobody is bothered about what skills the student has gained. Yeah. Coaching, of course, has been adding to the pressure already, and has been doing well because of whatever reasons, I think, but that cannot complement teachers for that matter. Okay, so there is a gap that exists, that needs to be addressed between how students learn and how we teach. I think that is something that needs to be addressed, but the gap needs to be identified in first place. If it is not, then that's going to lead to disengagement. The debates about why students are not turning up for class, or blacklist them because they are not been coming, but then has there been any conscious attempt to talk to the students over a cup of coffee and ask them, why are you not coming? I mean, if you ask them in a professional setting, they'll never give the real reason why they have not been coming for a class. So this needs to be done in an informal manner, where we ask why there is a low attendance, or why certain class is good or why certain class is not good. I think it's not going to happen overnight again, and every faculty is going to have certain equation with their student community. And bottom line, assignments are given, you pass. That is what the result will be: surface learning and not in-depth learning at all. And then we'll get into the debate of, oh, there are no good researchers, there are no PhDs available in the ecosystem. Of course, PhD is a different debate altogether. People have been getting PhDs also easily these days, and we know that how people have been getting that. So surface learning is what we see out there. So yes, I think it leaves us with this, question to answer, that why teachers must adapt, because information is no longer limited, no longer scarce. It's available freely everywhere. It's in a fragmented format. I mean, one can do any course without a certification, and the content is available for free. But somebody facilitating that learning is what educators' job is. Yeah. So hence teachers must evolve in this ever-changing environment. And the big question: are we preparing them for exams or for life? Because yes, there has been NEP, there have been a lot of changes at the central level, but they have to trickle down eventually, and every faculty needs to take it to his or her art, and then see the eventual impact of the program that he or she is teaching. So just passing, just making sure the students pass is not the eventual outcome, but what is the takeaway of that particular course or a program on the life of a student? The question that we ask is this life altering in some way or the other? The entire program may not be, maybe one chapter, one day that we have taught can be life altering for a student. I just remember one session that I did with one of my batches earlier. So we all know that we need to train students on soft skills, and every course demands that. So there was one such session under a theme called as Speakers Club, and we wanted a theme as to what to do. So we thought, let's have a theme which is very, very unique and something that we don't talk so much in India. So I titled it as Celebrating Failures, and everybody will pen down some failures of their life and come and discuss in class. They might want to read it out. I sent a message, and then a lot of people shared, no, students won't come on that day. There was a reservation by a lot of people around that, नहीं यार, कोई failure थोड़ी से ऐसे share करता है. I thought I should edit the message a bit. I changed the message a bit. I said, apart from whatever message I had sent, I said, I will start with my failures. Just added few lines. And that kind of triggered some curiosity among students that, okay, a teacher is going to lead with his failure stories. So let us also take initiative to come to the session and share our session. And it was an amazing session where everybody, really poured their heart out, shared, their failures. A lot of them who had not prepared also started writing their failure stories then and there. So that was a small outcome, something that we see in classrooms. I don't know whether it was life-changing or not, but it definitely, meant that it was a great session when faculty leads from the front students definitely follow us. Let's look at how skills as a word has been used in multiple ways, multiple contexts. But let's look at the evolution of skills in India. So it started off primarily as something that was related to vocational, work. So it could be doing a technician course, doing a masonry work, and so on. Very manual kind of a work, or a blue collar. If I were to use it, I don't want to use it in a derogatory manner, but that's a classification that has been used. Yeah, somebody who's been trained for a blue collar job. But then, this also changed over a period of time. I think something that I'll address in the upcoming slide. Skills were also associated with lower prestige than academics. Yeah, it was not talked about, and it was different from. It was really aloof from the knowledge systems. Yeah, traditionally, that was skills in India. And now, with a lot of things changing globally, with globalization setting in, skills have come to the fore, come to the headline because of rise in service sector jobs, IT jobs, corporate jobs, and the need to look polished, look great, look perfect, 100% everywhere, every time. I think skills has been gaining prominence over last couple of decades, if I were to say. Importance of communication in professional setting also has been gaining prominence. Skills today are problem solving and adaptability, because as we discussed, things are changing. So today somebody might be working with a big company with a good paycheck. Next day there might be a news about layoff. Now he needs to adapt to this setback in his life and get back to the corporate world in his manner. So you need to be adaptable, or your company is an Indian company, is taken over by a foreign company. You need to be adaptable. You're working in Mumbai, you're sent to a tier 2 town. You need to be adaptable. I think same happens to teachers also, where we don't get the same set of students everywhere. Somewhere you get absolutely polished, very proactive students, somewhere we don't. So these skills are all absolutely as relevant for teachers. And I think everybody is expected to be problem solvers. Nobody like to listen to people who come only with problems. So yes, problem solvers, everybody in their own might need to be problem solvers, and these skills are needed increasingly. Interdisciplinary thinking, like I've been telling my MBA students that you need to master technology. You may not be a technical student, but you need to have an interdisciplinary knowledge where how business knowledge is applied in a tech world. So interdisciplinary thinking is needed. Somebody with a commerce background might end up working with a pharma company for that matter. That's again interdisciplinary thinking. So one has to be open in first place to this kind of environment, and then one would be able to take up roles related to that. A continuous learning mindset that is needed, for you to be in line with times, and there are plenty of avenues available, free and paid. So it's just about making good use of them. But as teachers, we need to kind of filter or navigate from those options and choose the best ones for us and advice for our students also. If we tell them there is a course on a particular platform, do it, they won't do it. Mind you, they won't do it. But if you say there is a course, let's do it and have a discussion in the next class, let me see how many of you do it, maybe we might have a better success rate out there. So I think this is something that is needed to have a continuous learning mindset. Teachers have an eternal learning mindset for that matter at any age or any stage of their career. No second thoughts about it. But then something that needs to be translated in the student world, in the student community as well. So we need to question as to what do we really mean by skills, by imparting skills. What are we creating? Whom are we creating? In fact, Desai ma'am spoke about an initiative for entrepreneurship. So yes, again, are people really thinking in those direction, whether they want to innovate and come up with something new and be an entrepreneur? So we need to kind of check with the audience that we have been addressing. Or are we just creating technicians who are happy with their trade, a typical 8-hour shift, and that's it. Yeah, so this definition need to be clear in our mind before we shape these young brains. And each of these will require a different approach, a different pedagogy, to say so. The real problem is here where defining skills become a problem. So we get down to basic definition of what skills are, and then which are the skills that are relevant from the field that we are talking about. There's a disconnect with the theory, and a lot of people will say, oh, we just need hands-on training. There is no need for theory. No, but then we are the ones who will create relevance for theory and marry the two. I think that is definitely need of the hour. And the debate is eternal, but efforts need to be taken in that direction. Otherwise, if there is limited understanding, it's not going to create, forget about limited innovation, it's not going to create any innovation for that matter. Yeah, the contradiction again, we are coming back to the same problem. We kind of judge somebody's ability very numerically in terms of ranks or marks. Yeah, I remember one of the IITs starting a course for humanities, and the criteria they had put was 60% as the entry criteria. Now, if you are an IIT and you're trying to propagate knowledge, get into a field which is new also. I mean, IIT is historically known for technology, but IITians talking about humanities starting a 60% criteria is a big problem here. You get a candidate with a lower percentage and then make a transformation, then that's a real impact that we are talking about. So let us look beyond marks, something that we try to with a reasonable extent at our university. We look beyond marks. We ask them to write an SOP. We ask them their achievements. We do an interview. We don't reject candidate purely basis any test score. We let every candidate go through a personal interview. That is where you really know a candidate heart to heart and know their personal stories. Because eventually, why organizations will take people? They will take people not because they know everything, but whether they have the conviction that they'll be able to groom these candidates. That's the pure belief that a lot of organizations believe in, and that is what they follow. In fact, we recently had an industry conference where we had invited the who's who from HR fraternity or big companies, in fact the big fours of the world, and it was heartening to know that they are looking beyond the tier 1 colleges because they know that the real talent lies probably in the other colleges. So there has been a shift, at least from companies like big four, and more are following suit. So something that we need to assure ourselves and treat students accordingly, beyond numbers rather. It's important to integrate skills and concepts. So concepts are important, and they will build the basic thinking, but skills will ensure that they go ahead and apply in the relevant industry, whichever industry that they get into. So we cannot negate the importance of concepts though, but also we have to make sure that we build the right skills needed for them to succeed. Yeah. I think if you have seen my designation, it's Professor of Practice. It's an initiative by the government to get people who have worked in the industry to contribute to academia. Again, it's trying to address partially the aspect of how do we bridge the industry and academia divide. I think practice is an answer here, where you get a student to do things that you've been telling. I mean, go on a field, go to a market and tell a student that this is what we have been studying in classroom. And then have a 360-degree mechanism where you ask student what has been their experience. Ask them to write down something. Again, there's a danger. A lot of teachers fear that if you ask them to write an assignment, on a computer, they might just use ChatGPT and submit it. So a lot of teachers have now got back to handwritten assignments. We have been doing that ourselves also, but have a mechanism where we talk to them beyond a professional setting. That's where the real insights will come in. Yeah. teaching eventually it's not just delivery. I mean, I think it's basically designing those learning experiences. Even if we have taken that class for multiple times, but are we thinking that how differently should I teach this class even for the umpteenth occasion? I think that is something that I do whenever I tell people I have a class. They say, okay, you must have taught it 100 times before. So what's the big deal? Why do you need to even prepare for that class? But no, as a teacher, then we say, no, today there's a different day, a different student. I need to do something different. Maybe pick up a newspaper article, share that copy with the students and discuss that in the class. Or take a product or brand which has come to my home and tell them that, oh, this is a new thing that I saw today. So these experiences need to be designed by the faculty, but then yes, we need to have our eyes, ears open, and also, of course, our handsets are open with all the notifications. So we keep getting these news pieces, these interesting updates. We need to use them and integrate them in our classroom learning. Design thinking, something that I really got to know big time during my stint as a faculty. I recently attended a program, and this is a result of that. So the basic premise was, why don't we gamify teaching, something that students love, because we all love games, those small incentives. So if we incentivize teaching in some way or the other, students will be far more engaged. So having that basic empathy with learners, knowing their backgrounds in depth, their stories, that is something that helps. Otherwise, we treat them as one class, a homogeneous set of class, rather than knowing personal stories of each of the students in class, picking up those examples and talking and making sense out of it. Defining real world problems which are happening out there and making sense in our classroom discussion and give out solutions. I think this kind of mimics a real lab for an entrepreneur or even a company. This actually mimics that. This is no longer just a classroom then. It's a real lab that a classroom is trying to replicate, and something that as teachers we should do. I tried it to my to a reasonable extent, and I'm successful, is what I could say. Yeah. And I think yeah, this is something that we know, that students will disengage if they feel the classroom is relevant. So engagement is meaningful. We put the onus back on on the audience. It's like any marketing company. If it is not successful in its campaign, what do? Do we blame it on the target audience and say the audience is not good or they didn't understand the message? No, we kind of go back to the drawing board. The company revamps the entire campaign or offering and relaunches the campaign. Same corporate example being applied for even a classroom. A student has not got the message right. The onus is on the communicator. Let me go back and try to find out a different way, a different mechanism to engage with those set of students. I think this because we're training them for the real world. Otherwise, we will say, "Arey, padha kya tha aur implement kya hua?" I think that's a constant debate. We'll never find answers for that. So how a corporate functions, we try to bring in those perspectives with an added empathy, though. Yes, we do that as teachers, which is not so much there in the corporate world, though. But yes, I think as teachers, we need to come up with that. Yeah. So yes, what do? I think there is no quick fix solution, but start with real world problems and something that is happening around us. So if we are teaching in Mumbai, then let's bring in Mumbai examples. In Pune or any city that we are living in, let's bring in those real problems for the students to solve. Let's not give out solutions immediately. Let's not be in that tearing hurry. Let ask the student, give them time, form different groups and ask them to come up with solutions. Do they have any answers? We often say that, oh, there are few good students who answer because they don't have stage fear or they are good at communication. Let us try to break those barriers. Let us form small groups and tell them, you ideate, you come up with solutions. Let's have a 30-second, 45-second explanation of these issues rather than giving solutions. That will add more interactivity to our sessions, and something that we have been constantly striving is connect theory to the real world application. Yeah. And something that has also worked, during my teaching stint is I think of the weakest student, because the fact that we have admitted that student in the class, it's our responsibility to make sure that you bring in transformation in that student. You cannot go back saying that the student doesn't understand. So that is a set that needs to be addressed. Somebody who doesn't pay attention, somebody who's not regular, somebody who's missing classes, somebody who's not submitting assignments. That's an area to be addressed. The regular ones will do it anyway, irrespective of your attention, focus, or however motivation or cajoling you will do. So that struggling lot needs attention. I think that will definitely help us to come up with more empathy and bring in everybody in that mainstream that we have been wanting to do. Yeah. Finally, I think final takeaways. I think from whatever we discussed, I think students have changed. So teaching definitely must catch up. There are no two ways about it. We have to completely throw the traditional model out of the window. And something that we need to even tell management that, can I try this differently? Yes, you might have got an SOP or a set of instructions on a piece of paper or an email, but there is no harm in going and talking to the HOD or the management or the head and saying, can I try this time? I'm sure no management will say no, but I think we often stick to those boundaries and we say instruction में तो ये लिखा है तो इसके beyond नहीं जा सकते. So we want the student to challenge the status quo. If we are not challenging, then what is the fun, isn't it? So let's lead by example there also. Skills and concept definitely must go hand in hand. We are not teaching them definitions, but what is the real life implication, or how does the definition look in the real world? Yeah. And everybody should be designers in the time in terms of how engagement will happen in the classroom. We all can design, we all can, that's our lab. That's our lab. I mean, whatever term the students are with us, that period, we can experiment in that and keep testing and see the results out there. And at the end of the day, as the book, if I'm sure you must have read this book, Atomic Habits, by James Clear. Now it tells you. I'll just tell you a small example from that. So it tells you that if you see at a problem like a mountain, then it will seem to be very insurmountable for us. We will say, oh, this is a mountain, this is a Everest to be climbed. So you give up then and there. But you set small milestones, you break it down, and you say, oh, I have to reach the base first, which is a few kilometers away. Something that even works again in the corporate world. They don't set an ambitious 5-year plan, vision, mission. They break it down into annual plans, quarterly plans, monthly plans, daily plans, which permeates into organization culture. So let us bring in those small shifts. What is that one change I want to bring about in my class? Okay, there are 50 students. There is one student who is not paying attention. Can that one student be transformed? I think can this be the small start? You need not tell the class that I'm doing it for him alone. Obviously, everybody gets into that participation mode. But start small. Start small. And again, the concept of that has been propagated in entrepreneurship is fail fast. The earlier we try, the earlier we know it is working or not working. So let us fail fast. I think if we wait for results to come, then we fail later. I think which is slightly not a good method to do. So let's fail fast. Let's do it and say this is not working. I'm sure out of 4 or 5 attempts we will see something working. Yeah. So yeah, I think my closing thought: if students have changed, given the fact that they are a part of overall environment, teaching cannot remain same. I think that's my final message. Thank you so much. I hope I've been able to connect with you in some manner, and I'm open for your queries. Not that I claim to know all answers of your questions, but we can have a discussion on it. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes. Anybody would like to share? We have so many experts here. Come on. Yes. Please, please. Deepa ma'am.
Okay, I'll just start.
Yeah.
I would just, whatever you have said, sir, it is bang on right. What you have said, we have to change. It's something like, being a woman, I would compare it with fashion and these things. Don't we go along with whatever is in fashion and we do that? So if the children have changed, then we need to change. We need to have a different approach. We need to have an approach which will involve engagement and where learning is lifelong and lasting learning. I totally agree with you what you said, and that's all I want to say. I have in my teaching career, I have tried to do it. Uh, I would do certain things which I would engage the students in a manner like, I would say, okay, come on, today this is what it is. Now let's do. Come on, each one of you think and how we are going to do this. And that sort of an approach. And though I was teaching chemistry, so I would say, okay, fine, let's go. Of course, not initial years of my teaching, I didn't do that, but it was later on, after a few years that I taught, I realized that I need to change my approach. And even though people say that chemistry is, you have to just by heart it, and you have to, it's so volatile and all that, I would bring chemistry to the playground. So come on, let's do it in a different manner. Why not do it this way? Why not do it that way? Formation of compounds. Let's play like how we have dog and the bone. Let's not play in that manner, and formation of compounds, let's not do. So these small things, like I have tried, but that's it. I think I personally totally agree with you that one needs to change and be one with what is happening in our environment, in our surroundings.
Yes. Thank you, Deepa ma'am. Ambujam ma'am. Ambujam ma'am, please unmute yourself. Unmute. Yes.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. It was a wonderful session, and
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
really found it very engaging, and I love the paradigm shift, which is very relevant. Nonetheless, I had two areas. One was in your, the gap between teaching and how the students learn, how the teachers teach and how the students learn, which was very well brought out. But designing learning experiences was also placed in one of your slides. Now, designing learning experiences, I have a big question when we talk of paradigm shift. Unfortunately, our teacher training institutions don't train the teachers in the manner, okay, which is relevant to the present context. It's done very, very traditionally. I've been a teacher, educator for years. So I do understand, the mechanics of how it goes on. So I feel, everything should start from there, where at least they are, what you say, incited to do something where they change their style of thinking out of the box. How can they make teaching more fluid? I think these areas, designing learning experience, if it comes from there, then probably it'll have an impact in the classrooms. That's why it's not having an impact. The teachers are very traditional in their teaching styles, even today in the classrooms. So I felt, you brought out the situation very well, especially the paradigm shift was brought out very well. And all the other, I thought it was a complete session, a thorough session. Very nice.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just would
Wonderful.
like to respond to you,
Really wonderful.
Ambujam ma'am.
Yeah.
So yes, while we think that it has to come from a teacher training institute, yes, maybe some of the members can take initiative, and then we kind of reward that innovation within the team only. So what happened was, I remember I attended a faculty development program and I shared that learnings internally. And then the management came up and told me that, okay, would you be able to deliver a program on this to our faculty members? I said, fine, I'm all the more ready for it, excited for it. So that is how you kind of put the onus on somebody who takes the initiative and reward it also in some way or the other. So while yes, there are certain designated bodies who will do their work in terms of a teacher training program, typically we say, okay, the HR department or the learning and development department will come up with training initiatives. But yeah, I mean, any department might just simply come up with a training program and say, let's do it for the entire team. I'm more than happy for it. So I think this whole kind of trend of accepting views from a different source should be welcome. I think we should encourage that.
You're right.
Yes. Sadhana ma'am, would you like to share? Sadhana ma'am. Yes. Sadhana ma'am, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
I like the concept very much, and especially use the word pro-COVID era. Actually, this is a pro-COVID era has changed a lot. We are totally digitalized now. And what teachers used to make teaching aids by their own, it has taken YouTube and other digital platform has taken their place now. So what I suggest, sir, same that what Ambuja ma'am had just mentioned, that we must do some changes in curriculum of B.Ed degree or in teacher training program. So we can use some other methods of teaching, making teaching aids or showing them various things to understand their concept. So that will be helpful to our students. So what you suggest in that, how can we change their methodology about teaching aids and about what when they see something, they understand it better. So what is your opinion about it, sir?
No, I'll tell you how it happens at our university. So typically, we have a syllabus which is crafted and which is ready, but then it's not that one has to stick to that. Then we have a board of studies where if I want to propose a change in the syllabus, in the way of teaching also, I can do that. Now the board of studies will ratify the change in the course, in the curriculum, making it in line with the industry needs. And then after the BOS approves, it goes to academic council.
Okay.
So there's a process which has been defined rather than somebody changing it arbitrarily. So the people are empowered at different levels. So maybe a committee can come together to review and benchmark the course against some other courses. I think, again, this is a common industry practice in corporates where there's a benchmarking done. Whom do we compare ourselves with? Something that we do it at home daily. It happens कि देखो पड़ोसी के बच्चे ने इतना मार्क्स लाया, देखो तुम्हारी दीदी ने इतना % लाया. This is benchmarking at our home, but is benchmarking happening real time in the corporate world. So we say which is the best B.Ed curriculum happening in some part of the world, may not be in India. So taking those best practices and relating with our audience in India or Mumbai or Maharashtra, then you suggest changes going forward. I think what people want is a proof of pudding. People will ask you where it has been successful, where it has been done. Everybody needs some proof somewhere to validate.
Yes, sir. Because nowadays what I've seen, teachers directly go to YouTube and they show them on YouTube. Instead of making their own project or instead of making their own charts to explain anything.
Correct. No, that's not right, because then you have been replaced by that video platform.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you. Mr. Sandeep Deshmukh, would you like to share? Mr. Sandeep?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Joshi.
Yes, good evening. Yes.
So I'm pretty much in agreement with whatever you said, and I'm more keen to understand this concept of skills which you mentioned, that student should, the teaching should align with skills, right? And this is something which is a topic of interest to me as well. The question to be answered over here is, how do you map these skills to a student? Because the curriculum as such, will give it a very abstract meaning. So how do you address that?
Basically, we kind of, we have a very tendency to kind of map this purely basis a candidate's academics, something that we kind of have defined it traditionally, like somebody with a higher percentage going for a particular stream, something that we have been labeling this. Now we need to have a platform where we engage with the candidate uh, qualitatively and quantitatively both. So we have discussions, and we don't need a psychologist for it. We just need heart-to-heart conversations in terms of the inclination of a child. Forget about career or any industry that he or she may not be clear about, but in general, what the candidate is looking for. Now, in one such recent example, I saw somebody, a candidate not scoring well in his 9th standard. The school has said, oh, you should move to a non-science stream, you should move to commerce as a, and I feel this step is not very progressive, because then you are discouraging that kid from not even attempting to do something, or transform in terms of marks. The marks was one criteria, of course, which the teachers thought the candidate is not ready for. So this traditional boundary lines somewhere need to be demolished, and we have to stop evaluating people on the face value from this, that higher percentage is obviously going to go for a science or an engineering course. These labels, first of all, need to be removed. Somebody with a second class in science would end up becoming a great entrepreneur in a technology firm, for that matter. And there have been plenty of such examples available, which we have been seeing also. So marks is just one of the parameters that we have been looking for. It's for us to question that what are the other things that the candidate is bringing to the table. So we define that, and then these skills will automatically come out, in the discussion, and then making sense of those skills with the career outcome. So I think now it is no longer confined to any particular stream. I tell all my students that no matter what field you are studying in, you need to master data, you need to master technology. You might be an economics student or any stream, you need to master tech, you need to master data. You need to make sense of data, because there are tons of data generated around us, but nobody knows what to make sense out of it. Everybody should know it. To a greater or smaller extent, you will get work related to that. I think everybody's progress will depend on that eventually. So I think this mapping, of course, there is no foolproof mechanism to answer your question, sir. There is no foolproof mechanism. A lot of people say there are psychometric tests available in the market, but I think we are the ones who are well equipped to decode human emotions. We don't need any tools like this. Have heart-to-heart conversations, and I think we get close to the reality, if not the reality. So these conversations are not happening. Everything is outsourced now. Everything is tech-enabled. So let's get down to a real heart-to-heart conversation over a cup of coffee.
I agree. It is wonderfully put across by you. I agree to
Thank
what
you,
you
sir.
said.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarabjit ma'am, would you like to share?
Ma'am, thank you so much for this opportunity, but I really liked it, and whatever sir said, I'll try to imbibe the same in the class. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So from my end, I would like to thank Mr. Vikrant Joshi for such a wonderful session. 2-3 important, the whole session was really lively, I would say. Every point is remarkable, and every point has to be followed. It is just not penning it down. Following is very, very important. Implementation is very important, as you said. And first thing I would say is, are we encouraging questions in the classroom? That is the first one I would like. That has to be, as you said, questions. The children should be allowed to ask questions. Even if you do not know the answer, I would say, I would find out and tell you. There's nothing wrong. That's what I feel. Yeah. So that is the first thing. And then concept and skills. Yes, both are important. Yes. And interdisciplinary thinking. Yes, that's also. What a wonderful session. Wonderful and very, very, I would say very useful, and for everybody to take it ahead.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Vikrant Joshi. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm honored. Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
I would just like to add little to what Uma ma'am has said. I would just add in one sentence. It is the need of the hour, what you have
Yes.
said, sir.
Absolutely.
It is the need of the hour because, unfortunately, many of them, I have come across many of them, are so focused on trying to complete the syllabus and trying to this, that opportunity of voicing their queries is not given to the students. And that is really unfortunate, but one has to work towards it, and we also will try to get it across once this session of yours goes on YouTube. I will share the link with you, and I will share the link with others also, so that if more and more people view it, maybe it is a small baby step towards bringing in what is needed at this point of time.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, shall we wind up?
I
Deepa
think
ma'am?
we can.
And I saw
Yes.
Dr. Suresh Nair, sir, in this thing.
I
don't
think
know.
something must have come up and he
Yeah.
had to leave.
Okay.
He was there. He was very
Yes,
much
yes.
there,
Yes, yes.
and he
Okay.
joined in a little late, but he was there.
Yes, yes.
Maybe
Okay.
he
At the
has a
outs-
issue,
Yes.
net issue in his house. No, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. Let me sincerely thank Mr. Vikrant Joshi for this session.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for this
Yes,
interaction.
but
Although I'm not so much an online kind of a, not a big fan of online. I would love to have a similar session in a seminar hall or a conference room.
yes,
So-
yes.
I'm taking you on that, sir.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
taking
yes.
you on that.
Yes.
We will have an offline session with you.
Yes, yes. For our
Okay,
teachers'
Uma ma'am.
development. Yes,
Uma
yes. For
ma'am,
our
remember,
teachers' development.
for TDP, we have to approach him for an offline session.
Yes, yes. Sure. Thank you so
We'll be
much,
happy.
sir,
Yes,
for
ma'am. Thank you
sparing
so much.
your valuable time and sharing such a wonderful information with all of us. Thank you so much. And I
Thanks.
sincerely thank Deepa Desai ma'am and Dr. Suresh Nair for giving me this opportunity to host the webinar. Mrs. Ambuja ma'am, as usual, being a mentor for CRDE, is always present and moral support for all of us. Sadhna ma'am, who is also a coordinator along with me, who is always a great support for me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mangal. Sandeep sir, Sarabjit ma'am. Thank you so much to all of you for a wonderful evening here. Let us meet, and Vikrant sir, I would share with you the next upcoming webinars. Whenever it's possible, please do attend.
Sure, ma'am.
So that you can be a part of CRDE. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wonderful session. Wonderful.